Alright, welcome back to the channel and the build of our teardrop. So today we're going to install the roof on our teardrop, and I've purchased a couple sheets of the 1/8 inch. It's a Meranti, which is kind of like a mahogany skin, and it takes a nice bend, so it's going to work really well for our application. We're going to do this in 4 pieces. So we have a piece for the back. We have this section here, which is 48 inches wide. We're going to trim that back a little bit. Then we'll take one more piece and we'll trim that to fit. And then for the front bottom section coming up, that'll be our 3rd piece for the top part. Our 4th piece will be here on the back. So that's a small piece, and I'll show you how that we're going to install that. We'll get under here, get this thing in position, get it ready, put things in place, glue and liquid nails and staples, and before you know it, we'll have the top on this thing. We'll make sure that everything's flush, router everything, sand things that need to be sanded, and then we're ready for the Filon to go on the top. After that's installed, then we'll work on the hatch. So let's take a look at how we're going to do this, the steps that we're going to need, and let's get it done. So the first piece that we're going to install is this bottom section here, and I do have my piece of wood cut to the right length. It's 48 inches wide, and the trailer from edge to edge is 48 inches wide. And we have one nice straight edge here on the back and straight edge here on the front. So when it is installed and rolls up, it should be nearly flush with the top of our floor here. There'll be a aluminum trim that will go across the top here with our gasketing, so when our hatch comes down. So all this will be covered, so even if I'm just a little bit shy, that's fine. It'll all be covered. Once that wood's on, then we'll be able to install the Filon. So to get the length for this thing, I used one of these little fiberglass flimsy tapes here, and just put that on the edge, rolled that up to where I needed it to be, and gave me the length I needed. So that's pretty handy. It's a little less stiff than a tape measure, and it gives a pretty good measurement. So to install this piece, I'm going to use contact cement just to hold things in place, and once that's installed, then we'll come back with some paneling nails. They're a screw type nail, and we'll tack that in. It's just going to be enough to hold this in place. There'll be mechanical fasteners. Like I said, there'll be a trim across the back, there'll be a trim going down the side, and we'll also have a trim on the bottom to go over that seam where the bottom is and this edge here. So 4 sides will be fastened down mechanically. We'll go ahead and get the contact cement on here. I've marked my board where we're going to put the contact cement around the edges and our studs, and we'll just set that up there, and hopefully it rolls into place real nice and easy. Test fitting it, it seems like it's going to work pretty easy, but once that glue's on there, you get one chance. So we want to make sure and do that right. The second piece is 48 inches wide, and I cut it 50 inches long, let it overhang here, and once everything's installed, we'll take a router and we'll router this flush. So it's going to work out great. I have one of my spars right here, so we're going to have to trim this back about 5/8 of an inch, somewhere in there. Then our second piece will butt up against here, and we'll run that down till about center of this spar. The bottom piece will come up and meet right here. So I'm going to do the back first, then we'll do this section, then we'll do the front section, and we'll save this part for last so we can get that fit and looking pretty nice. So out of the 2 sheets, I still have 2 pieces left over. that are sitting here, and we will use those for the back hatch. So nothing is wasted. That is a good dimension, and we'll use that when we get ready to install this back cover. So let's get out the contact cement, get out the brush, and get this stuff installed. Alright, so our glue has had time to set up, about 20 minutes, and we're ready to put it in place. So, one-time shot here. So I'm going to line up this corner with the edge of our bottom here, and then we'll hopefully get things tacked down. Closer there. Perfect. Looks a lot better. Alright, I'll get that in place. And we'll start pressing that up. Let's see what that looks like from the outside. And we have our back section installed. Nice. Took that curve real easy. Sealed pretty good. Now the next thing I'll do is I'll run a couple of nails just to hold things in place, so in case the contact cement fails, I'll just run a couple of nails here on the bottom and a couple nails here on the top. And I think that's going to look pretty good. Yep. Nice. And our Filon should lay over that real nice and pretty like. Alright, so first piece installed. Looks good. So I'm just going to use 16 gauge 1-inch panel nails, little ring type nails, just to tack things into place, make sure that they are secure, and wait for the Filon. Let's get that nailed up. Beautiful. And just a couple of nails to hold things in place. So, looking good. I didn't put any nails down here on the radius. We'll just let that follow the curve. And we do have a couple of nails down here on the bottom. Looking good. Very nice. Alright, I'm happy with the way that turned out. Hoping the front will be just the same. So now we'll start on this section here and get it cut to fit, and we'll start getting that tacked down. Alright, with things temporarily clamped, I've got it set into place. Follows our contour. We're going to come here, and here is our spar. I've marked where I need to trim this piece back. It's going to be about, like I said, 5/8 of an inch or so. So we're going to take it outside, we'll get that trimmed, we'll set it back in place, and we'll get things glued and liquid nails and staples. So on the edges I will use glue, and I'll staple on the edges. and I also glue and staple on the back. And where our fan is going to be, I will also staple around that. The rest of it is going to be sort of like free floating. So we'll just put some liberal amount of liquid nails on there, bend this around, let it make contact, so if it relaxes it still follows a nice curve. If I tack things down and if there's any wave to it, you're going to see that once the Filon's on. So we'll just tack it around on 4 sides and let the curvature of the cabin take care of the rest. And once the liquid nails dries, then it's nice and solid and we've got a nice shape. So that's the idea. So let's make it work. Let's get that trimmed up and put it in place. Alright, now that our piece is trimmed back to where we need it, got a couple things clamped in place. We'll clamp it here, we'll unclamp those, raise this up, spread some glue here, put it back in place, clamp that down, and then we can run some staples in there. Then we can take these clamps off, raise it up, and we get our liquid nails and our glue everywhere that we need, and then we'll pull it back down and hits our mark. So I have from this back section here, very back edge, running to the front is 47.5 inches. So both sides are landing on its mark, and now we're ready to put down the adhesive, push that back down. We'll get these clamped up, and I also made a mark here in the center of our spacer blocks inside. We'll avoid shooting any staples over top of our spars because we do have some screws here and we don't want those bending out. So I've made a mark and we'll follow that line. Once that's in place and we get staples on the front, then we'll mark out for our fan and we'll run some staplers around that. That piece is done. Alright, it's coming right along. Alright, so our second piece is on. So I'm going to leave this back edge clamped up so I know it's nice and straight. Once the glue dries, we'll take that off and we'll shoot some staples in there. But we've got a nice clean edge all the way down to the front and looking good. So now we'll install our bottom piece here. It'll come up to about this section here, and then we'll worry about the third piece, getting it cut to length. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get this piece installed. It'll be just like how we did the back. Put some contact cement on there, roll things up, and hopefully everything stays in place. We'll get things nailed and make it look good. So same as the back, we went ahead and spread our contact cement on the edges where we need them, and also on our piece here that we're going to install on the front. So once that's all set up, we'll crawl under there. With any luck, get a nice edge, run that up, and hopefully everything looks good, and then we'll tack it in place. Then we can start on our last piece. Alright, same with the back section. Line up the edges, see if we can't get this thing on there nice and straight. Hopefully no problem. Well, that's a start. Alright, so we'll take our nails and we'll get them in place. Alright, so now we've got our third piece on here and it's looking pretty good. Nice and flat, got a nice round edge. We got it nailed across, got it nailed in a couple of studs here. So it's taking shape. Now we have to cut our third piece, our last piece. And so I'm using our little flexible tape here. Put it up here on this, butt it up right next to that last piece. Bring it down. I have 42 and about 13/16 on this side. And with any luck, we have the same measurement on this side. And 13/16. So we've got a nice square edge here. Perfect. Alright, so now we have to cut this piece. We'll tack it on the top, put our liquid nails, get our glue down, and fold it over and get it stapled on. And then we'll be done with the top. Almost. Alright, let's get this last piece on. I'm going to go ahead and spread some liquid nails over here, and then we'll get some glue on the edges, start tacking things down. Now we'll get a little bit of glue up here on the top, tack that down, work our way down. Alright, here comes the fun part. See if we can get on here without making a mess. Alright, so the top is now on. Have a nice little seam here, doesn't require much sanding. Nice curve in the front. I don't think this needs sanding at all, it's so flush. Yeah. Been nice to find it all the same color wood, but you'll never see it. So, now our next step is to take it outside, hook up our router and go around the edges and clean that up. Then we'll bring it back inside and park it. Oh yeah, I'm liking the looks of that. Went ahead and removed the clamps here off the back. Glue was cured and stapled that down. Looks nice. Alright, let's drag it outside and get something routed. there is our teardrop. Just waiting to go. I think it's looking pretty smart. Alright, so we got our task accomplished today. We now have our roof on and it's pretty solid. So everything's going to be curing throughout the week, and I think until our Filon comes or I go get it, we'll probably do a little bit of trim work and get the inside kind of finished up, and maybe do a little trim work here on the back, and then we'll get the Filon installed. So I announced last week that the plans no longer free. I've been emailing them out left and right, giving a lot of plans out. It's hard to keep up with everybody. But if you're interested in plans for building your own teardrop and a step-by-step on the way, then click that link right up there. That'll take you to a video that should show you or tell you how you can acquire these plans. Very low cost. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. We got something done, one step closer to being finished. If you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up, would you? Hit that subscribe button, would you? And that bell notification, would you? And until next time, please do stay tuned. We have a lot more to come.